Listen, campers, get your ass on the bus, grab your bags. We got to get to camp. Summer camp. Say goodbye to your parents. You're not seeing them for 2 months. Or in this case, you never see them again for all eternity. Where are we heading to? Not Crystal Lake, because screw Jason Voorhees. This ain't Friday the 13th. This is true horror. We don't do none of that fake stuff here. Welcome back, S'mores, to Beyond the Campfire. Steven's got a really great episode for us today. We're heading to summer camp. Steven, have you ever been to summer camp?
I have actually, both as a camper and as a counselor.
Oh, I've been to summer camp twice.
Mm-hmm.
When I say twice, it was like a week-long thing. It wasn't like, most summer camps where it was like months. Sure. I went. What camps did you go to?
I went to this one called Indian Springs, which it wasn't an Indian camp. It was mostly white people. But yeah, I went to Indian Springs, which was where was it? I think it was somewhere near Jackson, Georgia. And it had a lake. It had cute girls that rejected me. It had, canoes and all the stuff. It had all the typical church camp stuff. That.
Oh, it was a church camp.
Yeah, it was a church camp.
Okay, well, actually, never mind. I take that back. I did technically go to 3 camps then. One of which was a church camp. The other 2 was 4-H. I was one of those 4-H kids. The first camp I went to was Tybee Island. So we there's like some hotel they had there where we would stay, and that was a fun camp. We had one guy, one of our camp counselors. His name was Ben. He faked being British the whole time.
Oh.
Yeah. A lot of people believed it. He even tried to convince us that he was an extra in Harry Potter. So that was fun. That was my first time being away from home, and the first night, because I had never really gone to camp before, I grabbed my bags, walked to the older people that were kind of not counselors, but like, the older people that was kind of in charge of all of us. And I knocked on their door and I was like, hey, I'm ready to go home. I had my bags neatly packed and everything. I was ready to go, man. The next camp I went to was Rock Eagle.
Oh, I'm familiar with that camp. Yeah.
Yep. My dad was one of the chaperones for the thing. So it was really great because me and my brother didn't have to ride in the bus. We got to ride in my dad's car. So, coming back, it was great. We got to sleep.
Did you guys ever have a cabin rivalries or anything like that? Pull pranks on some of the other campers?
No. Actually, when we went to Rock Eagle, have you ever? Okay, so I don't know how your camp was set up, but with 4-H camp, we had something called Milk Moms. And there'd be like these girls, like these council girls that would like come and they would bring like cartons of milk and cookies, and like we'd all hang out at night. And we even did like, if you guys want to know how old me and Steven are, I think I was in the 6th grade maybe when we went to Rock Eagle. Yeah, we did a trend for YouTube as part of our camp thing. Can you take a guess what trend we did that was hot back then?
Oh man, what was that one? The Harlem Shake or whatever? Was it
Yeah,
that one?
we did the Harlem Shake. The video, I think it's still on YouTube somewhere.
Oh, I'll have to look that up. That's funny.
I'll see if I can find it after this to show you, man. It was.
Oh man.
So after Rock Eagle, I did go to church camp. When I was in between 8th and 9th grade, I went to church camp.
Yeah.
And I got in trouble.
You got in trouble? What'd you do?
Yeah. Well, so we were supposed to go to like nighttime worship, and the youth pastor got mad at me because everybody went to nighttime worship, but not me. I stayed back at it was like I think it was like some seminary school, and like we were staying in what would be the dorms, and so I was like, well, I had a busy day today. I'm gonna clock in early. And I went to sleep, and the youth pastor was like, hey, you can't do that. You got to be at worship. And I'm like, I want to sleep. No, I'm not. I want to sleep. So he had to drag me out of there. And yeah.
Oh man.
Good times, man. Yeah. So if you have a camp story and you want to share it with us, feel free to on Instagram. But yeah, Steve, we're going to camp, right?
We're going to camp, yeah, and yeah, I'm grateful. If you're wondering why we just spent the last 5 minutes talking about our camp stories, reason we did that is that's probably all the positivity we're gonna get out of this episode. Me and Will the Cowboy were talking beforehand, and we're like, yeah, this
I
episode
listen.
it's gonna be a little dark. So
I usually choose the episodes. So if you want to blame anybody for this being dark, blame me. But I didn't look much into it. I just was like, what's some spooky summer themed things we can do? And I was like, oh, there's this summer camp that's haunted. And I was like, awesome, let's do that. And then Steven tells me what happened. And I'm like, I really regret us doing this.
yeah, so it's dark, but we do got some paranormal activity out of it. There's obviously going to be supernatural stuff and ghosts and haunted stuff. So this is beyond the campfire, right? We tell stories
Mm-hmm.
beyond the campfire. So
Yeah. So
go ahead. What
I
do you
was
got?
gonna say I don't think Steven and I really had any spooky happenings at our camp.
Nah,
Uh,
my stuff. I mean, outside me chasing down a coyote at 3 a.m. one night.
our when I went to
My
Rock
camp.
Eagle, they tried to convince us that the lake that was next to Rock Eagle was filmed for Friday the 13th. It was in fact not. They just said that to scare us. But
Uh,
no, this summer camp is actually haunted, and for bad reason. So,
yeah,
Steven, where are we traveling to for summer camp?
we're traveling to Camp Scott in Mays County, Oklahoma. So if you're a Oklahoma person, we're gonna be a little bit close to home for you, but maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's a bad thing. But
Yeah.
I would just say if you live in the Oklahoma area, maybe don't go into the woods late at night. So,
So what happened in Oklahoma? Why should I not go into the woods?
all right, cool. Yeah, we'll go ahead and get started. So, s'mores. Grab your blankets. Grab your marshmallows. Light the fire because we are traveling to Mays County, Oklahoma. The year is 1977. Kind of one of the heights of the summer camp
Oh yeah.
craze, which continues today. We still have summer camps, but I feel like summer camps kind of hit a peak in the 70s and 80s. I feel like
Oh yeah.
that's
You just get rid of your kids for 2 months.
right, right. Yeah. So, all right. Well, the year is 1977. The hippies are not quite hippieing anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they're kind of dying out. We're starting to get into the 80s. Let's see, Jimmy Carter's president.
Yeah.
So and yeah, at Camp Scott, our story actually is gonna start in March. So in March, the counselors are talking. They're like, "Hey, are you ready for summer camp? Summer's gonna be here in about 3 months. We're gonna get a bunch of kids. We're gonna go canoeing and do all this stuff." And it's like, well, if you want to do all these big things, what do you got to do beforehand? You got to prepare, right?
Yeah.
You got to make the plans. You got to set up the tents. You got to make sure everything's ready to go. So 2 months before the events, the counselors are doing their on-site training session, and a counselor, as she is going back to her tent, she discovers that her belongings have been stolen, her tent has been thrashed around, and that all her donuts are gone.
Not the not the donuts.
I know, right? Yeah. You ever go downstairs late at night and you're ready to eat that snack you put away, and then you discover like your little brother or something ate it before you could?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I
Terrible.
imagine this counselor was feeling something like that.
Yeah. All our donuts are gone.
So she's like, okay, this is weird. She's like, I'm here training to be a counselor, and my tent was absolutely dog washed, like just thrown around,
Mhm.
and my donuts are gone. So, she does a little bit of investigating, and inside the empty donut box, She finds a handwritten note.
Okay, see what's funny is when you said the donuts were gone and the tent was destroyed, my first thought was, oh, bears. But then like bears don't steal your stuff. You
Yeah, no,
know, they steal your food and they don't leave you handwritten notes.
they don't read you handwritten notes
It's the
unless it's very
Berenstein Bears.
smart. Oh, but then it needs to have hands too. So
Then you have opposable thumbs.
unless it's well, the not deer doesn't have hooves; it has hands. So maybe a not bear could have written this note. Okay,
Oh boy.
I'll stop. If you're a longtime listener of the show, you know that I have a fascination for the not deer, and
See, most people who are slightly autistic have an obsession with trains. Steven has an obsession with the not deer. And now it's turning into the not bear, who steals your
amen.
donuts and your stuff, and he leaves you a nice little handwritten note.
It's a deer with thumbs. Okay, anyway, so um, okay, that might be the last joke we tell because, like I said, things do get dark in this story.
I figure they would.
Yeah, but where we can crack some jokes, I'm happy to crack some jokes before things get dark. But written on the handwritten note was an ominous message that said, "We are on a mission to kill 3 girls in tent 1."
What the hell? I
Yeah,
don't like that.
not a fun note to receive.
No.
So the note said "we," implying more than one person.
Yeah.
We'll get to that in a second. It also mentioned tent 1. Now, Camp Scott was organized in a way where there were 8 tents,
Uh-huh.
more or less in a line. Tent 1 was the counselor tent. Then you had tent 2, tent 3, and then going all the way to tent 8. So, according to the note, they were planning to kill 3 girls in tent 1. That would have been the counselor's tent.
Right.
So, the director of the camp, he looks at the note. He says, "This is weird." And then he concludes, this is probably a prank. Throws away.
Bro, how dumb, dumb, dumb.
And, I wish to God that he was right.
Which, you know that since we're talking about this on the podcast, he was not right.
He was not. So, that weird incident happens, but, the counselors are like, that's enough training. They end training and they go their separate ways. And before you know it, summer of 77 arrives. And, you know, June is starting. People are packing their bags. They're getting ready for summer camp. And I don't know when your summer camp started, Will, but this one was starting on Sunday, which
I think
pretty
I,
pretty pretty typical day for a camp to
yeah,
start.
I think I started on Saturday, maybe.
Okay, so on Sunday, June 12th, 1977, girls arrived at Camp Scott and they were assigned to their tents. In tent number 8, you had 3 girls, aged 8 through 10, and they were assigned to stay in tent 8. Now, if you remember what I told you earlier,
Yeah.
1 is the counselors,
Yeah.
and 2 is the first one with girls, and then all the way down you go to tent number 8, which is
Mm-hmm.
the last tent.
Right.
The way the camp was designed, the counselors in tent number 1 were able to have a visual view of all 8 tents.
Well,
At
that's
least
smart.
in the
Yeah.
daytime. At nighttime, you could still see most of the tents. However, because of some tree foliage and because of the darkness, tent number 8 was a little bit hard to see. That's important because of this reason. So, 7 p.m., the night starts. 3 girls, aged 8 through 10, are assigned to tent number 8. All of the girls were residents of Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, which was a suburb of Tulsa. And they were sharing tent number 8, also known as the Kiowa unit, which, again, as I stated, is the tent located furthest away from the camp counselor's tent.
Yeah.
And partially obscured by the camp's showers. Questions so far?
I think it's making sense. I think the only question I have, you'll probably explain this about the reason why the note said tent 1, but you're talking about tent 8.
Yeah. And honestly, man, I think that the would-be, spoiler alert, the would-be attackers were just didn't know that counselors stayed in tent number 1, and as they learned information later, they're just like, oh, tent number 1 is not the spot to hit. We should hit tent number 8.
Okay. That makes yeah. I figured you were gonna explain that later on. I was kind of
Yeah.
curious.
I mean, I'll just go ahead and get that around the way. Okay, so at 1:30 a.m., multiple counselors reported hearing screaming and strange noises from the direction of tent number 8. At 1:30 a.m., one girl said that she heard screaming, awoke, listened out further, but didn't hear any screaming, went back to sleep. At 3:30 a.m., 2 hours later, more screaming was heard by other counselors, but again, same result. They woke up, listened out again. When the screaming stopped, they said, that was weird, and went back to sleep. At around 6 a.m. on June 13th, so this is now Monday morning, so 6 a.m., pretty early in the morning, a camp counselor on her way to the shower saw a girl's body in her sleeping bag in a wooded area just outside the tent area. It was discovered that all 3 girls, I'll just go ahead and say their names, Lori Lee Farmer, aged 8, Doris Denise Milner, aged 10, and Michelle Heather Hughes, aged 9. All 3 girls were discovered missing from their tent. 2 of the bodies were found inside the sleeping bag, crumpled towards the bottom of the bag, and 1 body was visible on the outside. They had been left on a trail leading to the showers about 150 yards away from their tent. Subsequent testing showed that they had been bludgeoned and strangled to death. I will pause there because, I mean, obviously, very dark, very gritty.
Yeah.
Very tragic. Thoughts so far?
I mean, I mean, like, imagine you're all excited for summer camp, and like, because from the way it sounds like this happened the first night of camp.
Yeah, very first night.
Good Lord. I mean, like imagine being all excited for summer camp and then this happens. And it's not like, it's not a like, there's like being shot or stabbed, but this is like being beaten and strangled. And it's not pretty.
Not pretty at all. Yeah.
And I mean, I mean, that's the thing. Like we said earlier, like this is going to be kind of dark, but when Steve and I talked before, unfortunately, like with a lot of these haunted locations we talk about, they get haunted not for nice reasons.
Yeah, for sure. Well, obviously, when 3 little girls are murdered, you want to catch the killer. So an investigation was launched right away. A large red flashlight was found on top of the girls' bodies, along with a fingerprint. It was later found to be too smudged for a positive identification. However, a footprint size 9.5 was found in the blood in the tent, and I mean, yeah, this gets pretty graphic, but there was blood all over the tent. Tent number is found, yeah. So investigation was found, and eventually a guy named Gene Leroy Hart was arrested. He had been convicted 2 years. He had been convicted several years earlier of kidnapping and raping two pregnant women. So just a awful dude all around.
Mm.
And yeah, he was about a mile from Camp Scott. Interesting enough, this guy was part of the Cherokee Nation. And when he was arrested at the home of a Cherokee medicine man. We'll get into some of the theories in just a second of why there was paranormal activity. But, needless to say, some of it may have had to do with his Native American ancestry.
Yeah.
A cave was found where glasses and news clippings of his escape from the Oklahoma State Penitentiary were found. However, conflicting stories of the police, the relatively late date of when he was captured several months later, and also just a general community hating him and there being motive for people to plant evidence, had him acquitted. So he actually was not convicted of this crime.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Nevertheless, he still went to jail because he had a 300-year sentence from his other crimes that he did. So,
Okay, that's the thing I was going to ask. So he got arrested before for kidnapping and raping two pregnant women.
yep,
He escaped from prison
yep,
and then murdered the girls
allegedly.
allegedly, and then he got acquitted for it. But because they caught him for escaping prison, he was thrown back. Well, he's just put back in prison.
Yeah, and then once he's in prison, 2 months later, he dies of a heart attack while lifting weights and jogging.
Wow.
So many people believe it was him. And again, this isn't a true crime
No.
podcast. Wow, podcast. But however, most people do believe it was him. A lot of the evidence does seem to point to him. However, we don't know with 100% certainty. And this is where we're going to get into the paranormal aspect because this is why you guys listen to our podcast.
Yeah. If you guys want a true crime version, somebody reach out. Make it Beyond the True Crime.
There you go.
But us,
beyond the
we're
truth.
just gonna stop. We're just gonna stop there because we the spooky boys.
Yeah, spooky boys indeed. So, years after the murders, people started to notice strange things in the woods of Camp Scott. By the way, Camp Scott, after this happened, they evacuated everybody and it never opened again. So it never was a camp again.
Yeah.
For a good reason. I don't know if you really want to have a summer camp there after something like that happened. So you especially don't want to be staying in camp tent number 8.
No.
So, but
real quick before we get into the paranormal, I know you said it was shut down. Do you have any information about like what's still there, if any of it's still there, or?
Yeah, so the Girl Scout Council sold the property in 1988, and so today it is now a hunting ground. So you could still go there. I imagine that a lot of the stuff there associated with the camp is now gone.
Mm-hmm.
I have heard there are like 3 crosses in the ground as memorials for Lori, Michelle, and Denise. But yeah, today it is it's a hunting ground. So if you want to go hunting, you can go onto the grounds of Camp Scott.
Yeah, the reason I was just asking was because for those of you, shout out to our Patreon. We should eventually start having some. We're going to be putting more stuff there. We apologize if you've paid for that, and we have not. We've been a little bit behind because somebody wants to be a lawyer. But the reason why I was just asking was because I didn't know if it was like a place where me and you possibly could investigate in the future.
Yeah, we could go there now. When we do our ChatGPT episode at the end of this episode, we'll be able to. I mean, it's us going to go visit.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's talk about the woods, right? So, The first thing that has been reported here in the years since and up to this day is that visitors, particularly at night, have reported hearing young girls whispering or calling for help.
Oh boy.
Um, I actually didn't mention this. I mean, I think I didn't mention this just because it broke my heart to hear this. But those counselors earlier that heard the screaming, some of them reported hearing like screams of terror, but also a girl shouting out "mommy, mommy," which like
Oh boy.
that absolutely,
Uh-uh.
I know, absolutely.
That. Good lord.
Um, but
I
yeah,
think what makes it
go ahead.
like in that see, and that's the thing. Like I like to say is like I'll just say is like to hear that story, to hear like that happen, and that breaks your heart. And then we look at it from the paranormal side of things. I mean, just to hear a girl scream in the woods, "Mommy," that alone, like when you think of the like if you're just somebody walking in the woods and you hear that, you're gonna freak out because you're like, that's a little terrifying. But like when you think of the context and you think of like, that's why when you do paranormal investigations, a lot of time you do have to be respectful because there's a reason all this happened. There's a reason you're seeing these things. Um, I mean, I get why that would tear you up like that, man.
For sure, for sure. So yeah, like I said, young girls whispering or calling for help are reported. Some have claimed to have heard giggling followed by a sudden silence, as though playful spirits are abruptly reminded of something tragic.
Okay, see, giggling in the woods. I know we said we understood this was dark and we're not gonna make jokes and we're not gonna laugh, but I just got to tell you, man, if I hear giggling in the woods, I'm Scooby Dooing out of there.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's something particularly freaky about that,
I
right?
don't like. Ugh,
So,
no.
uh, counselors and campers over the years, even before the murders, now this is where things get interesting to me, had described eerie voices as night as though they were dismissed as wind or imagination over time. Now, remember the Cherokee Nation that I had?
Okay, I'm getting chills. Whew.
Yeah. Some people suspect that an ancient malevolent force had been sent on the camp even prior to the girls being murdered. And that might have driven, let's just say it was Jean Leroy Hart. That was what might have driven Leroy Hart to do what he did. Now, granted, Dew was a messed up guy even before that. So,
Yeah.
I don't think we
What I'll
necessarily.
say, because I think I don't know if you'll talk about this specific detail on your future podcast, your future biblical podcast, but you're talking about malevolent spirits being sent on the camp. I think what really gets me is like Steve and I we said it a bunch of times our views on spirits and ghosts. I'm a believer, but I put my own little twist on it to where I don't think like these spirits we encounter, I don't think they're actually us. What I think is like we leave a footprint behind. Like, when you walk on a beach, you leave a footprint in the sand. It's not you, but there's still evidence that you were there. And that could be like a leak through time. That could be, somebody sees a shadow move, somebody hears your voice. It might not, it's not you, and it might not be something even darker. It's just an imprint of your energy that's been left behind.
Sure.
Um, but what I will say that like the reason why I'm getting chills hearing about like the giggling and the whispering of girls, like a whisper from like a little child, the reason why that terrifies me is a lot of people and a lot of people who understand demons will understand this. And I don't know if you know this about demons, Stephen, but a lot of paranormal investigators, when they go into places and they hear children, they get very, very, very cautious because a lot of times demons will actually mimic children to lure people into a false sense of security, being like, oh, it's just a little kid ghost. Like, let me talk to it, let me confront it. In actuality, it's not a child, it's the demon mimicking a child. So that's why whenever you talk about like the idea of there being a malevolent spirit sent on it beforehand, you know, and I mean you both believe in possession by the devil, you know, I mean, and you probably could argue with this on your biblical podcast. We won't argue here, but serial killers, are they actually possessed? Um, I don't know, but when you talk about like the whispers and the wind and stuff like that, that really gives me a chill because could it be demonic?
Sure, man. Yeah. Let's quickly talk through the rest of these things, and then we can get into our Chat
Yeah.
GPT story. Um, but yeah, hunters, they're hunting in the woods. A lot of them have said that animals have avoided the area where tent number 8 used to be. So they say
Now,
birds and deer, they're like scampering around pretty much everywhere else, but they don't go near tent number 8.
you know what freaks me out about that
What's that?
is remember me and you covered something that has similar encounter, the whole Abachi Forest, the
Oh,
dead
yeah.
zone,
Yeah, similar kind of thing there
where
too.
there was like a dark area to where nothing would want to grow.
Hmm.
Same kind of thing.
Yeah. Other people that have visited the area have reported experiencing time slips where they suddenly feel as if they are back in 1977. Others have heard canvas tents rustling, footsteps on gravel, and even flashlight beams passing through trees where nobody stands.
This is freaky.
Yeah, they're often described not as ghosts trying to interact, but maybe some kind of echo or imprint, which is kind of what you talked about.
Yep, yep. I'm telling you.
Here's another thing. Oklahoma is known for its muggy summer heat. However, intense cold spots are reported in two places where tent number 8 used to be and along the trail where the girls' bodies were found.
Oh boy.
These shifts are also accompanied by an oppressive emotional weight. Visitors that walked near where tent number 8 was or on that trail said that they feel like they're being watched or that they're not wanted there.
Dude,
Multiple
okay, this
people, yeah,
mm,
go ahead.
I was gonna say this is really creeping me out, man. Like this is what we come for. And man, I'm telling you what, sounds like we might need to take a trip to Oklahoma.
For sure, man, for sure. This is why you listen to our podcast, guys. All right. Multiple people have described seeing small childlike shadows darting between trees or standing at the edge of tent number 8. One woman who visited once reported seeing a blonde girl in pajamas standing just beyond her flashlight's range, only for the figure to vanish when she approached. Lori Lee, I believe, was blonde. So, interesting stuff. Paranormal investigators have also reported that their cameras started to malfunction when they attempted to film the area, especially near tent number 8's foundation. And then, last but not least, women, not men, but women that had planned to go visit the camp in the days leading up to the camp reported having nightmares of, let's see, girls screaming, flashing lights, and a female figure urging them to leave the past buried.
Wait. Okay, so these nightmares that these girls had, was this before the murders?
No, 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 no. This is like now in the year 20.
Okay. So the nightmares are like women go to this place and
Right.
then
So
end
like
up
let's
having
say
nightmares.
Sally Mae says, I'm gonna go visit Camp Scott. Like 2 or 3 nights before she actually visits Camp Scott, she will have dreams like that. And then she goes and actually visits Camp Scott. And then the dreams stop after she's visited.
This is why we hire women here at Beyond the Campfire.
There you go. So
Haley, we're looking at you.
Haley, if you
You're
want to
going
come,
with us.
you might get some freaky dreams.
Freaky dreams.
So all right, well, that's it, man. To this day, people are reporting that thing. So it's been about almost 50 years. I think it's been what 48 years since this happened, and
What
people
did you
to
say?
this day still reporting these things happening
When did you
when
say
they
it
go
was?
place. So
What year?
1977.
Okay, let's see. Yep, last month it would have been 48 years.
Yeah.
Wow. So, before we get into ChatGPT, I guess, do you think there could be something in those woods?
Yeah, I tend to be the skeptic, but for me, I'm like, yeah, there's something there, man.
I'm
There's
listen.
something there.
I want to tell you guys something. I really want you guys to share this podcast with your family, with your friends, with whoever would like this stuff, so that we can get the numbers we need, so that we can launch that third tier of Patreon to where me and Steven go look for these things, because we're going to make Steven a believer in
But
something.
don't share this podcast with people who don't care about this stuff, because what happens is those people are gonna listen for like 20 seconds, not
They're going
listen.
to ruin our numbers.
Yeah, not listen to the podcast, and then Spotify is gonna say, "Oh, people don't like this podcast. They're listening for 20 seconds and then leaving." So
Make
share
sure you share it with
like
people that would enjoy this, because we need to scare the pants off this guy. Because okay, so do you, would you go to Camp Scott? Would you be willing, like, if we had that third tier Patreon, would you go spend a night in those woods?
I would go with you. I would go with you. I wouldn't go by myself, but yeah, I'd go with you. Sure,
I think I think we need to go and obviously find out who owns the property and try to get it to where we could stay there for maybe like a couple nights.
sure. I mean,
Me and you.
honestly, man, some places are going to be hard to get into, but this is one where we really just get a hunting license and
Well, I
that's
wouldn't even say we get a hunting license. Like I feel like whoever owns it, we probably could talk to them and be like, hey, we've because like if we get it like in the off season,
oh right, that's a good point.
then
Yeah.
if we go in the off season, idea.
So we need to go there on June 12th and 13th. Golly.
Let me. I'm gonna. You know what? Let's see. When? Hold up. Sorry.
Should I go ahead and start introducing
If you
ChatGPT?
want to, I was just gonna look up. Um.
Come on, Will, you're boring our listeners,
All
man.
right. You go ahead and start. Go ahead and start. Go ahead and start.
Okay, cool. We got a ChatGPT story where me and Will visit the campground. So, without further ado, here it comes. The story is called The Spirit Trail at Camp Scott. It's a little bit of a shorter one.
Yeah.
The gravel crunched under their boots as Will and Stephen pulled up to the faded gate of Camp Scott, now buried under decades of vines, moss, and silence. A warped sign still clung to the entrance: Camp Scott, building strong girls since 1928. Will stepped out first. Place feels like it's holding its breath. Stephen, quiet beside him, nodded. This is where three girls never made it home. We thread carefully. The two of them walked deeper into the woods. Will searched for evidence. Stephen walked carefully, almost as if in a silent prayer. They had talked earlier that day to Marla Teague, now in her 60s, once a teenage counselor at Camp Scott the summer of the murders. Her hands trembled as she poured them coffee. "I was in tent number 1 that night," she said. I I heard something like canvas flapping and whispers carried on the wind. But when I checked my watch, it was just after 2 a.m., and the woods, they were silent again. Too silent. She paused, then looked them both in the eye. "People talk about Jean Hart, but I always believed there was more than one person in those woods. Something else. Something colder." Will and Stephen continued on. "Do you really believe what that Marla girl was saying?" Will said. Stephen shrugged his shoulders. "Who knows? But that's why we're here tonight. We're going to find this place. We're going to get to the bottom of this. That evening, Will and Stephen hiked deep into the Kiowa unit, or what remained of it. Only the stone tent platforms were left, overgrown and cracked. Tent number 8 slab sat crooked, as if trying to sink into the earth itself. Stephen lit his lantern. This is the place. They walked in a wide circle. Stephen began to pray quietly under his breath. Will suddenly stopped. Did you hear that? Stephen looked around. What? What is it? Something feels cold, dark, and is it just me, or have we not seen any animals in this area at all? Suddenly, a shadowy figure darted past them. Stephen screamed, Will, did you see that? Will looked around. Stephen? I don't think we're alone. Both of them turned their heads sharply and saw the image of 3 shadowy girls staring at them. Then, just as suddenly as they arrived, they vanished. Before they could take another step, however, a 4th figure appeared. Not a girl, a woman, spectral, translucent, but firm. Her voice didn't echo in the air, it landed directly in their hearts. Do not go further. The air dropped 10 degrees. These woods are not cursed, they are grieving. The little ones seek no justice, only peace. Your presence stirs the echoes. Will took off his hat and lowered his head. We're sorry. We didn't come here to exploit, just to understand. The ghostly woman shook her head. I warned your friend in her dreams. The editor. I told her not to come. I told you both not to come. Steven's like, Haley? Yeah, she told us she was having some weird dreams. That was you, wasn't it? The woman shook her head. Understand this. Evil came here once. It left wounds. Wounds that can never heal. These girls, they want peace. Please, please, you must understand. Stephen stepped forward and asked gently, What can we do? The woman looked at them both, her eyes soft, with a sadness too deep for words. Pray, remember, and let them rest. And just like that, she was gone. By morning, they sat at the camp's chapel ruins. Stephen opened his Bible and read aloud, The Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves the crushed in spirit. Psalm 34:18. Will place 3 wildflowers at the foot of number 8 stone. We'll carry this story, he said. May they never be haunted again. For Lori, for Michelle, for Denise. The both of them sat quietly looking at the flowers Will had placed. They left Camp Scott as dawn touched the trees, a gentle wind rising behind them. Not haunted, just grieving, and forever remembering. The end.
I like the Haley thing in there. That was.
Yeah,
I was
you
sitting there when you
got
said
the
the when the ghost is like, "Well, I tried to warn a woman," and I was sitting there like, "Well, we don't listen to women."
I know, right? So
Oh man. So what I was trying to look up is s'mores. If you get us to where we need to be by 2031, so that's about 6 years. You guys got about 6 years to get us to a place where we can go hunt these ghosts and these cryptids. If you get us before then, that's great. But Camp Scott, I'm telling you what, if we can do this in 6 years, do you want to know what will happen in 6 years?
what's that?
June 13th will be Friday the 13th.
Oh, I was wondering why you were saying 6 years specifically.
Because okay, so unfortunately last year June 13th was on Friday the 13th, so it won't happen again for another 6 years. But if you guys want to see us at Camp Scott in 6 years on Friday the 13th, hunting down some ghosts.
Do you know how old you and me will both be in 6 years? It's kind of crazy to think
I
about.
will be 31. Well, no,
Yeah,
I'll be 30. I'll be 30. I won't be 31.
and I'll be 33. That's
Lord.
wild. Oh, I guess you guys can dox our ages off what we just said, but whatever. So, uh,
We look old, but we're young.
yeah. Anyway, that's all I have. I was thinking 2 years because in 2 years it'll be the 50th anniversary, but 6 years also works.
Oh, well, we can either do it in 2 years or we can do it in 6 years.
Well,
Whichever one comes first.
depends on you Patreon people. So
Come on. All right, we got a $1 tier if you don't want to give too much money. We got a $3 tier if you want to give some more money. But right now, $3 tier, you're not getting a lot because Steven's over here wanting to be a lawyer.
we'll have to record something special for you before. So
Yeah, yeah, I will say, it's a good thing that Steven did this episode with his ChatGPT story because I don't know what my ChatGPT would have done.
yeah, you would have had
It's funny to see, like,
you would
I
have
think people get to see the two different sides. Like, I feel like my ChatGPT stories are a little bit more horror-esque, like truly terrifying,
sure.
compared to yours. Because like we look at like Bobby Mackey, where you literally almost got possessed or something.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know what would have happened. You know what? After this, I'm gonna see what would have happened on mine. But yeah, that's all you got, Steve.
That's all I got, man. So rest in peace. I mean, I personally believe it was Jean Leroy Hart, and maybe that's just me saying I
Well,
want
my question.
I want to know the killer was brought to justice. But
Mhm.
just man, awful stuff, man.
Oh yeah, my I think the one thing, like, obviously this is not a true crime podcast, so we won't go into it. But where's the second person?
Well, yeah, and that's where I didn't get into the true crime part of it that much.
Yeah, I mean I guess that's just something that you guys, you know what? Somebody's gonna make a true crime podcast and they'll tell you.
Yeah, but I mean, just to tickle your ears, tickle your ears. Um, yeah, there was a lot of speculation that there was more than one person involved, because the note said we,
Yeah.
and you know, there's three girls, so like it'd be pretty hard for one guy to be murdering one girl, and then like shutting the other two up pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Presumably, if you had more than one person, you could kind of quickly kill all three girls without too much noise.
Right.
Because I'd imagine if it was just one guy, while you're killing one girl, the
The
other
other two are gonna run.
the other two are going crazy. So
I don't
anyway,
know, man. But yeah, who knows what's in those woods? And oh man, it is a true tragedy. But that's all we have for you guys. Stay safe and keep your tent locked.
there you go.